there's one thing you need to run a thriving online business. It's systems, processes, and organization. Those are 3 things, but you need all 3 things. And if there are 3 things I suck at, it's systems, processes, and organizations. So today I thought I would share with you a little bit how I came to somehow run a team and a business that does thrive, even though I am full of ADHD and chaos. Hi, I'm Brittany McBean. I am a conversion copywriter and launch strategist, and I run a micro agency that serves successful online business owners running $1 million launches and funnels every single year. And I teach other copywriters and service providers how to create a business that runs on premium systems and processes like I've been able to do. The reason this is something that I teach is because it is a thing that was the hardest for me to do as I was walking through drying concrete trying to get my business off the ground. Recently, I ran a survey to my email list and I asked people what kind of information they wanted to hear from me, what I could be teaching really on this channel, and somebody said that they wanted to hear more about me and my story. They said, it's so easy to feel alone and the self-doubt and the challenge. I'm wondering if it's all even gonna work out. Would love to hear what that stuff felt like for someone who's taking a similar path to the one I'm hoping to take. So today, I thought I would share a little bit about what that path looked like for me and how I was able to set up this business that I have today. Because it is really lonely, and most of us did not get handed a blueprint when we sat down and declared ourselves an entrepreneur for the first time. But don't worry, this is not gonna be a one-woman act all about myself. I'm hoping there'll be some hopeful, tangible, actionable things in here that you can actually use if these are things that you're struggling with in your business as well. So in 2019, I had been at home with my daughter for the first year of her life while my husband was providing for us on his therapist nonprofit salary. We were not feeling very comfortable financially. Honestly, we were struggling. And more than that, I was bored. I love my daughter more than anything in the world, but I was feeling a need to be stimulated creatively and just personally. I just needed to do something that was mine, that was challenging. I had had some success with my own social media, and I thought, why don't I just do this for other people? So I got online and I declared myself a social media manager. And I got my first few clients the way a lot of us do. We just start talking about our business, and either somebody says, hey, I need that thing that you do, or somebody says, I know somebody who needs that thing that you do. If you're wondering what the magic is to get your first few clients, that's it. You just start talking about your business, and eventually somebody hears it and says, I need that thing. Can I hire you to do that thing? But the trick is you gotta be talking about it. Like, you have to actually say, I do this thing. But the thing is, once I started working for those clients, I realized that I hated social media management. All I cared about was the words and the messaging. I just wanted to fix their copy. I wanted to fix their words. I wanted to fix what they were saying. And I hated the social media part of it. But while I was trying to figure out how to do the social media business, I got online, I started connecting with people, started connecting with other social media managers, and eventually I met some other copywriters online. And that was the first time I found out what copywriting was. Found out that copywriting was a job, and I was obsessed. I also found this weird little world of online marketing and launches, and oh my gosh, I could not get enough. I felt like I had found my thing, but oddly enough, my degree in musical theater does not exactly qualify me or prepare me for running a business or marketing or any of the skills that I actually needed technically to do this in a full-time capacity as a profession. Since I had left college, my 3 professional jobs were professional actor, stage actor, a theater admin, and a nanny. None of those I felt really qualified me. You do not have to be qualified to start doing your job, but I did want to be responsible if I was going to start taking clients' money. So I found some really reputable copywriting courses and I started studying. I learned as much strategy as possible. I learned as much copy technique as possible, but I also knew that I had talent. I always joke that I see marketing strategy like I'm smelling color. It's just something that comes really naturally to me, and I love it so much. It was like what I was born to do, but I knew I needed to layer some actual technique on top of that. Now, what's really interesting is the first copywriting and strategy client that I had. So after I switched from social media management to copy, which basically means I set up a DIY Squarespace website and I told the internet I'm a copywriter now, the very first client that I had was the worst client, and the worst project I have ever done in the history of my business. It was awful. There was no boundaries. There was so much scope creep. I cried almost every night. There was so much anxiety and pressure and stress over this project. I had no idea how to run a project. All I wanted to do was make this client happy, and this was not someone that I don't think I would ever be able to make happy. And the reality is, it was all my fault. I did not know how to communicate boundaries. I did not know how to communicate scope, and I did not know how to manage my time, stay on track, and manage a project. I'm not a silver linings person. I'm happy to stay negative, but if I had not started with such a bad project, it would have taken me so much longer to get where I am now, because that project highlighted every single thing that I needed to do in my business in order to succeed. And I think I probably could have stayed with my head in the clouds a little bit longer if it wasn't for that project. I didn't know it at the time. I didn't have a diagnosis, but I have severe ADHD. I wasn't medicated. I wasn't diagnosed. But number one, I didn't have the skills or the training or any business knowledge to know how to write a proposal and communicate scope and say no to a client and run a meeting and run a project where I was the one staying in the driver's seat, making a client feel comfortable and calm and like I was in control. But I also didn't know how to manage a project, and I didn't know how to keep things moving forward. But I also did know that that was my problem at the time. Now, at that time, our daughter was home with me. We could not afford childcare. So every single day I would pick her up and we would go to the YMCA. They had 2 hours of childcare that I could use for free, well, with my membership every day. So I would drop her off at childcare. I would sit in the lobby in my gym clothes, but I would not work out, and I would work for 2 hours a day. So we're on the way to the Y. She's in the back. She's like 13 months old at the time, and I have a panic attack. I'm thinking about this project, and I have to pull over because I cannot breathe. I collect myself. I drive us to the Y, I drop her off, I start working, and that night I sit down and I have a conversation with my husband. I asked him if I could use some of our personal finances to get some support. At this time, that project was not paying nearly enough. It was supposed to last like 6 weeks. It lasted 6 months. I charged her $2,500. That $2,500 did not stretch for 6 months. So I asked if we could make a plan to use some of our personal finances to get me some support, to maybe help with some systems, some processes, and some structure so I could stop feeling the way that I was feeling in my business. I had only had my own business, including the social media part, for like 6 months at this point, and this was going to be my last ditch effort. If I couldn't do this, I didn't think I could run a business. Now look, at this point, I have a business bank account and a business credit card, and I make 100% of my business financial decisions, and my husband never enters into the conversation. I talk to him about my business, but I don't ask him anything. But at that point, our personal finances were my business finances, and I couldn't just start making decisions when things were already really tight without having a conversation with him. So I did invite him into the conversation. And so we decided we were going to take $100 to $200 and find someone up to $20 an hour who could help me from 5 to 10 hours a month. Because if there's one thing I knew for sure was that if I was ever going to succeed in this business, in my business, I had to be able to serve my clients with a certain degree of quality. The thing is, I know a lot of really, really, really good writers. And I know a lot of really, really, really successful writers who are just okay writers. And I've come to learn that a lot of times, the biggest difference between the writers with the most successful businesses, the one who are internet famous, who make the most money, whose names you know, the writers whose businesses you want to have, whose businesses you want to emulate, and those whose names you don't know but have very successful businesses, they're just writers who got an opportunity. Of course, there are copywriters who are just beyond talented. I'm not knocking anyone's talent, but what I want you to know that it is usually not talent that makes the difference. Sometimes you just get an opportunity, and it's a matter of whether you have the business set up that can take advantage of that opportunity, whether that opportunity is going to pass you by and it's just going to be something that happened in your business as you were trying to succeed. There's a good chance that at some point, whether you're an okay writer, an excellent writer, or an absolute genius, you could get a big opportunity. But if you don't have the business set up to take advantage of that opportunity, it could pass you by. Most of us are really good writers. That's not the thing that determines whether you have a successful business or not. So I did hire that support person. I got really lucky. The person I hired was a systems expert. I hired her as an assistant and she really turned into my OBM, and she was with me for 3 full years. She started at $20 an hour, and when she left, I was paying her more than double that because she was worth that. And the first process we set up, I just had in my mind this experience that I wanted a client to have when they came in the door, this like white glove, high touch experience. And I said, I want to set up this inquiry workflow that when a client inquires, they know right away that I'm taking care of them, because you know what? I am never going to remember to respond to an email if it comes in and there's an inquiry, but if something gets automated, then that person is going to see that right away and know that they're getting taken care of and hopefully book a sales call. And then very, very, very shortly after we got that set up, my first big name client came in the door. And I did absolutely nothing to earn or deserve this client. I need you to hear that. It was not a result of any marketing or any effort that I did. The person on his team that was doing the hiring asked a friend who asked a friend if they knew a copywriter, and this person just happened to know my name because at one point I had done like a sales call with them or something. So somebody just told a friend that told a friend that told this person who was hiring for him my name. That's it. I didn't do anything. But when they reached out, they were really impressed by my process. And so I got the sales call, and then they were impressed by that. And so I got the job. And when I met with him for this first time, he was really, really impressed. And I started getting recommendations from him before we even turned in a word of copy. I had more money coming in the door and more high-end clients before I had even delivered a word of copy for that first client. And then things got really busy and really stressful. And somehow in 9 months, I went from making $2,000 a contract to $14,000 a contract, and somehow built myself a 6-figure business. It was really stressful, but the good kind of stress. I'm not going to complain about that. I had to bring on extra writers. I didn't know what I was doing. And I told them, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, but if you trust me, I'm going to pay you really well. You'll get to work with some really cool people. You'll get to write some really cool copy, and we'll figure this out together. Because I didn't want to say no to those clients. They were perfect clients. They were perfect projects. And I wanted to do a lot of work in a short period of time to learn my industry. But it was rocky. Building an airplane as you're flying it can be pretty challenging, but it was what we had to do, so I did it. I spent 3 years in tens of thousands of dollars, probably about $50,000 in teammates and systems experts and systems strategists and tools, building out systems and processes that could support my business and doing things that I could never do on my own. Because I knew that if I was left to my own devices, projects would never move forward. I would forget things. I would forget to respond to emails. But if I had systems and workflows in my business, it wasn't that I needed the people. Those people were incredible. It was that I needed the people to set up the systems and the workflows, because I would never have been able to do that on my own. But if I had those, whether they were automated or whether they were just documented, then I would be able to deliver a seamless and premium experience again and again and again. A huge part of those processes are to deliver a white glove experience for our client, but it's also set up to deliver the best product possible. Those processes have been fine-tuned for years so that we can walk through an optimized process to get to the best creative output possible. And that's what allows me to command the rates that I do. We don't just raise our rates so that we can say we're expensive and we raised our rates. We put a meticulous amount of work into the research and the strategy and the writing so that our clients do see the results that they do, so that they do get the ROI that they do. Our rates are based on our process. It's based on the amount of time that it takes, the amount of time that we spend focusing and working on their project and creating custom strategy and writing custom copy. And the prices are about the ROI and the value that they receive from the product, from the copy, from the strategy. The thing is, growth is a process. It was not an overnight, I didn't have a successful business and now I do. It took time to find the right people. It took time to hire or to build a team. It took time to get the right process. We would add one process, and then we realized needed another one, and we'd add it on. Then we'd realize we needed another one, and then we added on. And then we'd realize this process actually doesn't work. Let's go back and fix it. And then we realized we needed another one. It was just a process, one step at a time. It is an evolution of a business. Our services evolved over time. Our team evolved over time. Everything evolved. The thing is, there are dozens and dozens of courses and programs and masterminds that teach people how to write copy. And there are just as many that teach people how to run a business or how to run a copywriting business. And all of those, most of those, a lot of those are incredible. My peers are incredible teachers. And when I was trying to figure out how to establish these specific processes, systems, business strategies, I had to figure out everything from scratch and everything from trial and error. There was a lot of error. No matter how much I Googled, I couldn't find the answer. I either had to make it up in my head or hire people much, much smarter than myself to show me how to do it or to do it for me in the business. So once I had the business established and running with some degree of competency, I knew that this was something I wanted to turn around and teach because it was not something I could find anywhere when I was trying to build it myself. I saw that blue ocean size gap and I turned around and created the thing that I wish I had when I was building my business. So 2 years ago, I launched the beta version of what I call the 5-Figure Leap. It's a mentorship program that teaches copywriters how to go from a established business to a premium copywriting business through systems and processes that help you scale by doing better work and more work for higher value clients without adding more hours, in fact, doing it in less time to your workload. The program is equal parts content and training, resources, and mentorship. I provide workflows and SOPs. We teach you how to set up certain zaps and how to set up certain automations and how to set up the things that your clients will need to see you as an authority, to see you as an expert, and to establish trust and to command the high prices that you want to command. How to deliver that process, deliver that product, and establish communication all throughout your project. How to generate those premium leads. The training, the content, the resources are all there for you to do it. And not just for you to create a copy-paste business, but for you to figure out how you can create the exact business that you want, but you also have a template to start with so you can just get started. But then you also have the mentorship, so you're never just running toward an arbitrary number. So you're always working towards a business that aligns with your vision for your life, your priorities, your goals, or just the season of life that you are in now. The best thing is because my business is always evolving and we're always going back and optimizing our processes and creating new resources for our clients, whether they are better canned email templates for us, whether they are better workflows, better SOPs for us. When we create a new asset, we turn right back around and put it inside that program. When we open up the doors for that program, we only open up about 10 seats at a time. I'm not trying to scale out of client work. I love doing the client work. I want to be a practitioner of the thing that I'm teaching. So it's really important for me that I have the capacity to do the client work and the capacity to mentor the students that we're working with. So I keep that program really small, really intimate. So we're only opening up about 10 seats at a time, and we are opening the doors soon. So if you want to get on the wait list, go ahead and jump on that and you'll be the first ones to hear about it. And usually you get a chance to jump in early so that you can grab one of those 10 seats before they're gone. And if you are in the trenches just struggling to keep on going and you feel like you're hearing success story after success story and none of those feel like yours, it is not you. This is hard. This is really hard. It was never meant to be easy. If it's easy for some people, they just got lucky. It's easier for me than it is for a lot of people. I come to it with my privilege of being a white woman, of being a straight woman, of being a cisgendered woman. There's a lot of people who don't have those privileges. And I started without any money that I could pump into my business to get started. I didn't have anything that I could invest into it. I had to start everything from the ground up. And again, I started with a lot of privileges that other people don't have. It's not going to happen overnight. This is 4 years in and I still struggle a lot. And I have really low months and really down months and really slow months and then some really lucrative months. The point is to have a business that is consistent, that is sustainable, and a business that really fits into the life that you want and the life that you have. All right, I'll see you in the next video.